Right, so if you are a service-based business owner selling high-ticket offers in 2026, this is the only funnel that you need to be running, and it absolutely crushes. It's the same funnel that I run. So if you're a consultant, you're an agency owner, or you're a coach of any kind, this video is for you. If your calendar is filled with low-quality calls right now, you're running ads and content, but no one seems to be booking a call, so you're just lighting money on fire, and you're tired of long VSLs that get watched, but just they don't convert. Or even worse, you're trying to run like a 60-second VSL or something like that. So let me explain the problem with this current market first, and then I'm going to break down for you in detail my website and why I structured it like this and how you can just copy-paste the same thing. So the problem with the current market is that everyone has some kind of fancy funnel. Everyone has a video sales letter, but not everyone is making money, right? And so most people copy info product logic. They assume that attention is cheap and everyone should opt in, and long VSLs build trust and emotion does most of the selling. But the logic breaks completely in high-ticket B2B, right? So B2B, people... John like the CEO of a $1 million company cannot explain to his board and his COO that he was pressured into buying this thing because some guy told him that if he was going to buy it, then he would be able to look into the mirror and he'd be proud of himself, or other emotional manipulation tactics that a lot of these businesses run through this funnel. They have longer sales cycles. Like, the logic needs to be there. He needs to go to his board of directors, or he needs to be able to go to his other decision makers and say, this is the logical step-by-step process of why we're purchasing this high-ticket product or the service. It makes sense for me. Does it make sense for you? Yes. Okay, sign here, right? So this is a different way of purchasing in the B2B space. It has a longer sales cycle, which means it needs aggressive follow-up. A rule of thumb is to follow up 10 times or until somebody tells me no, and do it respectfully every single time. And sometimes I have gone, a lead has gone completely cold, and I've followed up, and I've followed up, and I've followed up, and then I followed up, and I've followed up, and I've followed up, and then I get the sale. So do not stop. These people are just busy. And I know as a business owner, when people follow up with me, I always appreciate it if they're doing it in a respectful way, and if their offer is something that I perceive as valuable. Otherwise, it's a pain in the butt. Every step in the B2B sales process is to answer one question. So, should this person talk to us or not? Now, the perfect funnel in a nutshell, because I promise you the ultimate funnel, the simplest way to grow your service-based business in 2026 looks like this. You run traffic, whether that's paid or organic or any type of outreach or warm outreach, because it's going to increase your inbound. And you have a landing page without an opt-in, and you have a logic-led VSL that shows your proprietary process. And when I say short, I mean between, I would say, 6 and 15 minutes. So I have seen VSLs on pages that are 60 minutes long. You don't want something that is a webinar, but also you don't want something that's 2 minutes. Because again, you need to build trust and liking with the person. And in the B2B environment, more time looking into your eyeballs, hearing you speak is important. And then a short qualification survey. If they are qualified, you book a call and you speak to them one-on-one. If they are unqualified, they become a warm lead that maybe warms up at some other stage and converts. And so why is there no opt-in? Because high-intent buyers don't want friction. They want to decide fast, and they don't want to enter mobile numbers and emails just to see your offer and your VSL. All right? So let's see the structure of a high-converting landing page. This is the page that I run. So there is a clear offer headline, a clear call to action above the fold. The hero section is the most important. My VSL is auto-playing. I use it Vitalytics if anyone cares. And there is also the sub-headline communicates the thing that I deliver. A done-for-you system that predictably fills your pipeline with qualified leads, shortens your sales cycles, attracts investors, and scales revenue. It's not some crazy fancy copy that's like going to win awards, but it just does what it says on the tin. And the same thing with the headline. There is a clear offer with a benefit, and there is some social proof here. So this is not the greatest landing page in the world, but I am not a CRO expert. I'm just trying to make as many sales as possible. Now, below the fold, we have testimonials. The most important thing with a service is that people trust that you will actually deliver the service. Crazy. So I have case studies. The first thing I do is I have case studies. And these are 16, 20-minute interviews where I speak to the founders that I have helped go from before state to after state. So from zero pipeline to 3 deals signed to hundreds of thousands of dollars in pipeline to no predictable pipeline to being burned by 3 agencies before, having tens of thousands of dollars lit on fire, to having now flooded every day with quality leads. His words, not mine. And then below that, we could break this down to be like problem, solution, the problem with doing it all yourself, and then my proprietary method. But a good way of thinking about it is just like my process and unique mechanism. So you do the same. And after that, you have this is not an info product VSL. Like, I think my VSL is 11 minutes, I think, from memory, and it's just a logical, it's just like calls out the problems that they face. I have done more than 100 interviews with founders, so I know the specific words that they use. I put that like, is that you? Then this is what you need. The reason you're unable to grow or reach the thing that you want to reach is because of this one thing. And so I'm going to promise you this one thing. If you stick around, I have done this for this company and this company and this company, and these are all the results. And so this is how you structure a winning logic-led VSL according to Alex Hormozi. You follow the 5 Ps framework. Proof, early evidence, show early, like it's really important that proof, you show proof everywhere, but earlier the better. That you've gotten results, it reduces skepticism before you say anything, because most people are like, who is this guy? Why do I care? Why should I trust him? You haven't earned their trust yet. You need to do it with proof. Then you make a big, bold promise and state what outcome you can help them achieve. Be specific and grounded. You're not going to make them $1 bajillion, but you're certainly going to be able to show them at the end of this what a growth engine looks like and how to deploy it in the next 30 days. Pain. So if you struggle with this pain and this pain and this pain, then this is for you. And use some very specific words. I would suggest to actually talk to your target audience and ask them. They will tell you, and you will hear the same common threads across multiple different people saying the same things. And then I always like to give away all the source, to be like, look, no holds barred. Here's everything that I do and every step that I go through. And most of the time when you do that, when you over deliver and you give all the value away, people go, that sounds like a lot of work. Effort and sacrifice maybe is too high for me to do this all myself. I don't have time. Can you just do this for me? Because you seem like an expert. You literally just walked me through the solution and it makes so much sense. And so you'll see in my video, I break down the 5 steps to build an AI growth engine and what each step looks like, and I just give it away. And I just show the logic of how the results are created. And then I help them visualize what changes if this does work. So what their business looks like after the problem is solved, after they have that one thing installed into their business. In my case, it's an AI growth engine. So imagine working from the beach with total freedom. No. Decisions feel cleaner. The team stops escalating everything to you. The business runs with more consistency. You're able to spend more time at Jimmy's T-ball game and less time in front of the computer staring at a dimly lit screen at 2 a.m, like all founders do. And so the qualification survey, which is the next step, is it kind of depends. Like if you're just starting out, you don't want to make this too crazy. because you want as much flow as possible. And if there's too much flow, then you introduce more friction, like harder questions, more in-depth questions, more qualification processes. And this should eliminate unqualified prospects so you don't waste time on meetings that aren't a fit. So yes, you ask questions like, monthly revenue, current constraints, industry, location, but people tend to lie. So I always try to take these with a grain of salt. And sometimes, I think I remember reading a stat that Cole Gordon actually talked about how they introduced a budget amount, and if people were below a certain amount, they just wouldn't even look at the lead. But what they discovered was they started reaching out to those people, and they actually did have the budget. They just lied on the application form. So it's not a perfect science, but it's definitely a fantastic way of like having a gauge. So if they're unqualified, you send them to a thank you page, add them to your community, add them to your newsletter. If they are a qualified lead, then you book a call, right? You want to increase the chance to your prospect choosing a suitable time and booking a call. Have as many free spots in your calendar as possible. It doesn't look like you're a big shot if you only have one space 2 weeks from now. If you have 5 to 6 spaces every single day at correct times, the chances of them booking a call is way, way, way higher. And it doesn't cost you anything. So as a bonus, send them a confirmation email. This will increase the show-up rates. Send this immediately, date, time, what's a call for, what it's not for. And then comes the pre-call touch points. So send them the standard reminder. It would be worthwhile to have a setter reach out to them and see if you can bring the call in closer. Like, if they booked it 2 days from now, can you book it on that day right now? Can you book it, if they booked it 5 hours from now, can you book it in the next 30 minutes? If not, can you send them a package of information, videos, case study stuff for them to watch? And a really amazing little hack that Hormozi mentioned in one of his workshops was saying to the prospect, hey, here is a video that's really important that you watch before our next call. Would you like to watch this in your own time, or would you like to watch this on the call when we get together next time? And he says most people, because they're not psychopaths, will say, I'll watch it in my own time. And then they want to stay consistent with that. So what they do is they actually watch it. And then here are 3 messaging techniques that attract the right buyers in your total messaging, right? So think about it like you've got situational mirroring. So the first job of messaging is not persuasion, it's recognition. You want the buyer to feel like this person understands my situation better than I can describe it myself, and I assume that they have the solution because they're able to describe it in such detail, even better than I can. And like, I can't tell you how many times it's happened to me where I found a YouTube video or a VSL, and in the first 2 minutes, the guy's like, are you this person that does this and struggling with this? And it's like, if you feel like this happens all the time, but you can't do this. And I pause the video and I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. Oh my God, this is the first time anyone's ever communicated that to me. Where is the link? Let me click it and book a call. In 2 minutes, right? And the VSL's 10. So describe what their day looks like. Name the trade-offs they're currently making. What is the hell that they are experiencing every day? And what's the heaven that they want? And what's stopping them from achieving that? Explain it in visceral detail to them. Think about how it affects their daily life, how it affects their personal life, how it affects their health, their relationships, and their wallet. You're booking calls, but half of them feel pointless. You're going to the gym, but you're not seeing any results. You're giving up all your favorite foods. You want to grow the business, but you're in this gray swamp area where you want to grow and you want to be able to install the team so that you can grow, but you don't have the money right now to get that team and install it in. So you're stuck in this wasteland where you are the sole person going out, getting the leads, closing the leads, nurturing the leads, and you're exhausted. You're spending 15 hours a day running around wearing all these hats, and you're unable to execute and lead your vision. If that sounds like you, then this is for you, and that's something I would say. Secondly, buyer maturity signaling. So is this built for someone at my level? People are wondering, like, is this for beginners? Is it for advanced? Like, where do I fit in? Will this waste my time? These are high quality buying decisions that people make before they book a call. So talk about real specific problems, not beginner pain points, and use language that assumes competence. So you're not using jargon that is so super complicated, but you're using language that assumes they know what they are doing. So this isn't about getting your first few leads. It's about fixing what breaks once volume increases. And so I didn't use any crazy words there. I just sort of like, I understand your specific pain point, and this isn't for beginners. And then number 3 is decision reframing. So now that the buyer feels seen and qualified, you change how they interpret their situation. Instead of pitching your solution, you reframe the decision itself. You name the obvious solution that they've been trying and explain why it doesn't work in their context, and then you introduce a new way of doing things, your proprietary way. And this could just be something that's existed for a while and you've broken it down into simple steps, or something proprietary or something like that, or a system. Even if it's just what everyone else is doing with a name, it works way better because you're able to present it and slip it in as the new way of doing things. And people don't want a improvement offer. They don't want to do something that they're currently doing just slightly better. They want a brand new widget every time. It's the Russell Brunson old versus new way thing, and the new way is always the thing that wins. And so look, if you want to see what a funnel looks like that works really well and crushes it for me, I suggest you go to dopaminedigital.io. I'll link it down below. You can even click this button, watch this VSL, steal the whole script, implement it into your business. If you click this button and you fill out the form, it'll take you 3.5 minutes to tell me about your business. I will put together a 12-month growth plan, deliver it in 72 hours with a Loom video that's custom made for you without a sales call, if you are qualified. If you are not qualified, I will still try and help you somehow, okay? So click the link below, fill out the form, go through, see what a real funnel looks like. And if you want my help, I'll show you what that looks like completely for free. And if you want to work with me at the end of that, then we can discuss what that looks like. We are fantastic at what we do. So thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Click the button, guys. Fill out the form. Talk to you there. Peace.